Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into a truly epic piece of history, the story of Prophet Musa and the 12 tribes. We are going to trace their incredible journey, literally stepping from a life of brutal slavery in Egypt, right through some of the most miraculous escapes you can imagine, and finally into the unforgiving desert where their faith gets put to the absolute ultimate test. It really brings up this monumental question, right? How exactly do you lead a completely fractured people from slavery to salvation? The stakes of the Exodus were just astronomically high, and, as we'll see, the simple, everyday frailties of human nature were constantly threatening their survival. Okay, let's dive into this and see exactly how this incredible narrative actually unfolded. Section 1. Escape from the Pharaoh. The Exodus begins. So our story kicks off after a whole series of undeniable divine signs in Egypt were completely ignored by the oppressors. Following divine command, Prophet Musa leads this massive, sudden migration right out of the city in the dead of night. But, freedom wasn't going to come easy. I mean, imagine the sheer terror here. They suddenly realize they are completely cornered. You've got the impassable barrier of the Red Sea straight ahead, and Pharaoh's heavily armed, furious military charging right up behind them. Yusha, who was a close companion of Musa, literally looks at the approaching army and just says what everyone else is thinking. Death seems absolutely unavoidable. Section 2, Parting the Red Sea, the ultimate miracle. Right in the middle of all that absolute chaos and despair, the contrast is just striking. While the tribes are totally panicking, Prophet Musa maintains this unwavering composure. He's just waiting with absolute certainty for God's promise, and then the ultimate miracle happens. God commands Musa to strike the sea with his staff. Fierce winds start blowing, the water violently swirls, and the sea literally parts. We're talking massive walls of water standing up like towering mountains on either side. The prophet safely leads the tribes right through. But get this, Pharaoh sees this undeniable reality-bending miracle, and his arrogance still completely blinds him. He actually shouts to his men, "Look, the sea has opened at my command so that we may arrest them." No way, right? It was a fatal, incredibly arrogant mistake, because the second he and his army rushed in to try and claim the miracle, those massive waters crashed right back down, ending his tyranny forever. Section 3. Water for 12 tribes. Survival in the desert. Okay, so they've survived the Pharaoh, but that adrenaline high quickly fades into a brutal new reality, wandering a harsh, deeply thirsty desert. And despite being this broken people who honestly fell into complaining pretty quickly, God provided immense miracles to sustain them. Think about this level of divine protection. We're talking clouds specifically sent to shield them from the scorching sun, this delicious heavenly food known as manna, and when severe thirst really started to threaten them, Musa was commanded to strike a rock with his staff. So the crucial point is exactly how that water was delivered. God didn't just create a single chaotic stream. Instead, he miraculously split the water from that struck rock into exactly 12 distinct springs. And why 12? Well, because there were 12 tribes of Israel. This divine division perfectly prevented any arguments or bitter disputes over resources among the tribes. It was a flawless way of ensuring order and survival in literally the harshest of conditions. Section 4. The Sinai Revelation. Speaking to God. Eventually, this entire wandering multitude arrives at Mount Sinai. Here, Musa was ordered to prepare himself. He had to undergo a 40-day fast and purification. Actually, it was 30 days initially, plus an additional 10, before climbing the mountain to speak directly to God. Up at the peak, an absolutely incredible event occurs. Musa receives 2 divine tablets containing the special laws to govern their newly freed society. However, while he's up there experiencing this monumental revelation, a terrible, terrible disaster is brewing down below during his long absence. Section 5. The Golden Calf Trial, a betrayal of faith. So without Musa's direct, everyday leadership, the tribes grew extremely restless. I mean, despite everything they had literally just witnessed, they began acting super impulsively, almost like children. And this brilliantly illustrates the clash of leadership and temptation during a crisis. On one hand, you have Prophet Harun, Musa's brother, who was left in charge. He bravely warned the people of their grave sin, and he struggled really helplessly to maintain order and protect their faith. But on the flip side, we have a man named Samiri. Completely taking advantage of the people's fear and impatience, Samiri actually collected all the tribe's gold jewelry, melted it down in a roaring fire, and forged a golden calf. He convinced the people they needed this physical, tangible idol for guidance. It was just a complete and utter betrayal of the very God who had just saved them. When Musa finally returned and saw his people literally dancing around a golden idol, his grief and his fury were absolute. He threw the tablets down, he sharply scolded his brother, and he immediately exiled the manipulator, Samiri. But the trial wasn't over. To seek forgiveness, Musa took 70 of the very best tribal elders back up the mountain. Yet incredibly, and this is hard to wrap your head around, even these hand-picked elders stubbornly demanded to see Allah with their own eyes before they would truly believe. And for this ultimate disrespect, a devastating earthquake and a thunderbolt struck them dead instantly. It was only through Prophet Musa's desperate, heartbroken prayers for mercy that God miraculously resurrected these 70 men, giving the tribes just one more chance.
Section 6. Legacy of Prophet Musa. A life of submission.
Because of their continuous, repeated lack of faith, despite experiencing undeniable miracles, that entire generation of Israelites was condemned to wander the desert for years. They were never allowed to cross into the Promised Land. And Prophet Musa suffered greatly alongside them. Just thinking about the incredible scope of his life is mind-blowing. He lived around the era of 1400 BC with a total lifespan of approximately 120 years. His journey was nothing short of epic, right? From leading the Exodus out of Egypt, to the miraculous parting of the Red Sea, to receiving the revelation at Mount Sinai, and finally reaching his resting place at Mount Nebo. It's really no wonder the texts honor him so immensely, recognizing him as one of the 5 messengers entrusted with the heaviest, most challenging missions in all of history.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can ground this ancient, sweeping narrative in a real, physical location today, specifically at the memorial of Moses at Mount Nebo in modern-day Jordan. According to the texts, as his 120 years finally came to an end, God granted Musa one last, final wish, to see the Holy Land, even if it was only from a distance. So after looking out over the very land he fought so incredibly hard to lead his people toward, the man to whom God spoke directly passed away. He left this world with a fully contented soul and a completely, unwaveringly faithful heart. Which brings us to a final, pretty provocative thought to leave you with. The 12 tribes survived the Pharaoh, they ate food quite literally sent from heaven, and they walked straight through a parted ocean. Yet time and time again they lost hope. They turned to golden idols the absolute second they faced hardship. It really forces us to ask ourselves, if you witnessed the sea part with your own 2 eyes, would your faith ever waver? Or are we all honestly just like those tribes in the desert, prone to forgetting our biggest blessings the very moment things get a little difficult? Thank you so much for exploring the incredible story of Prophet Musa and the 12 tribes with us today on this explainer. Keep questioning and keep learning.